Hey guys, Emily Muccianti here, and I have a video today for our intervention teachers that are looking for ways to kind of troubleshoot your data. We have been having some really amazing Q&A sessions with some of our new intervention teachers. And the last one was just so inspiring to me. We had this amazing conversation about a walk to read model, and we dove into some issues with data. And then it followed up, and it seemed like all of my clients that I was working with that week, my private clients, we were looking at data, and we had these kinds of some questions that came up. And so I wanted to take one piece of that conversation and show you some things that you might want to keep an eye out on and try to clarify some of the numbers to help you so that you're getting accurate grouping for your students that have need. But first, I want to remind you, remember, like, subscribe, and share. There's a little bell icon down below. All of those things tell the YouTube universe that this video is worth watching, and hopefully somebody else will find it. There are other ways that you can support my channel in the show notes down below, so take a peek at that because that would be great as well. All right, so let's get into this. There was this conversation that came up about looking at data to make sure that we were accurately getting the kids that needed intervention services. And this was a conversation I had with one of my private clients. And she had some data graphs or snapshots that she wanted to look at. And so we were kind of dissecting that. And there were a couple of things that stood out to me that we had to clarify with her. And I thought, this is an important point for you also to be seeing some clarification. And it was really in particular related to the nonsense word fluency assessment and the numbers that were collected. So before we start, I want to remind you that a nonsense word fluency assessment is a measure that we give typically around middle of kinder to beginning of second grade. And what it does is it gives us an indication of the student's use of basic phonics, but also the alphabetic principle, letter sound correspondences, and the ability to blend. So there's a lot of these kind of developing skills that are happening with a nonsense word fluency test. And all of those things, when we do any kind of a fluency measure, when we attach that word fluency, whether it's phoneme segmentation, fluency, we're really looking at a student's automaticity within that skill. But data is only as good as it is when it's valid and clean. And so when we were looking at some of this data, I started to see some things, and I want to see if you notice it as well. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at some numbers. Okay. So here we are looking at a snapshot of a student's data points. I believe this is second grade. This was with Dibbles. It is probably Dibbles next because I know this was done several years ago. But what I wanted to draw your attention to is the glaring issue that there is some sort of an inaccuracy with the assessment, whether it was an assessor error or something's not right here. I want to see if you can find it. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video, take a peek, and then pick it back up and see if you notice a few things that are some inaccuracies. Okay, so if you did that, I want you to notice something here. The correct letter sounds for a nonsense word is 34 in the red, okay? Now, a nonsense word fluency measure, all of the words that are going to be presented are actually CVC words. There are 3 letter sounds in every single word. So here the student, it's indicated that they got 12 whole words correct. 12 whole words times 3 would be 36. And you guys know I'm not a math teacher, but I can do that one. So these numbers are not lining up, which leads me to believe that there is an assessor error here. And typically what happens, especially with the nonsense word fluency, is that the student is reading the word and they are sounding it out. So if the word were tov and the student said t-a-v, tov, the only score they should get for that is 3 correct letter sounds. The only way to earn a whole word read word score is to read the word one time and one time only. So that they would have had to look at tov and go tov, and then they would have received the 3 letter sounds and the whole word read. So this is an indication that there is some error in the assessment side of things. Now, the other thing I want to kind of draw your attention to is that we have a student, because and this is what happened with this student, because I was talking through with my client. I was concerned that we have a student then in the fluency 28 to 36 to 63 still in the red. Accuracy here, there's virtually very little change. There's no change almost in the accuracy portion, and just a few words. What is that? I don't have my glasses on. 8 words. So what happened with this student is, because of this number, this student did not receive intervention at the beginning of the year, which means they went through this entire span of time between middle and beginning and middle without intervention. They were then flagged middle of the year and brought in, and you can see there are some really good gains. So when we're not accurate, or when we're not following the protocols of the assessment, we are going to misidentify or miss kids altogether that need to be with us. This kid could have been potentially had that gap filled. And it's because this number, they had so many in need that this student didn't qualify, when in fact they should have. Okay, I want to show you another one, kind of a similar thing. So let's look at this one here. Same thing, nonsense word fluency, whole word read. 53 correct letter sounds, 18 whole words. Well, if you do the math, let's see. I think, again, these do not add up. So this 18 is completely wrong. This student also did not receive intervention because of this. So look what happened. We had the fluency, because they looked here and went, well, they're fine. They just need some time maybe, which I don't really care for that type of a look at it. But okay, you know, depending on how many kids you have, they only had 13 correct words in a minute with 65% accuracy. But these numbers here kept the kid from qualifying from intervention, and these numbers are wrong. So because of the assessor's error, this student did not receive intervention. So again, look what happened. 13 to 31, 65 to 79. It was middle of the year, the kiddo was flagged, and look what happens. We start to see some growth. We have to, as assessors, collect the information following the standardized procedures and scoring rules that are meant to be there, because if you're using the data to make big decisions like this is going to be a problem. Okay. One other conversation that happened. This is a conversation that happened out of one of our Q&As this last month. And thank you to the person, you know who you are. Thank you for sharing this with us. I loved this conversation. We had a new intervention teacher that was concerned. She said, this was the student that she brought in. She said she had a student, 3rd grade, 85 correct words per minute with 84% accuracy. Student qualified for intervention. She started to deliver intervention, and this is what happened middle of the year. The score, 53 correct words per minute, 98% accuracy. And she was really concerned about this. And so I want you to think about this and what this means for a second. And then I'll tell you. So I told her, great job. I think these numbers are great. And let me explain why. Accuracy has got to precede fluency. and accuracy has to be present in order to maintain comprehension. If you had a student that was reading 85 correct words per minute with only 84% accuracy, there is not enough correct words there to comprehend what was being read. This student was not monitoring for meaning. This student was saying words and blasting through them without any regard to what those words meant or to try to maintain meaning. But what she did through instruction is the student started to slow down. Yes, the words per minute dropped, but look at this giant increase in accuracy. The accuracy is higher. Accuracy has to precede fluency. So now that the student is accurate, the teacher broke a bad habit of letting them just guess through words. Now we're accurate. Now what we're going to do is see this number rise. And this is where I would probably do some repeated reading to develop some fluency. But this, my friends, I thought was a really good indication. And I think it relieved some stress on that teacher to go, okay, because when you don't know what you're looking at, you're new to this, I get it. Those numbers are scary to look at. But to me, that was a good thing. Okay, so what I wanted to do today was to really have you take a peek and look at some of your data. Things need to make sense. The numbers need to make sense. The numbers also need to be collected the way they were intended to be collected, which means you have to follow the standardized protocols for your assessment. We cannot change the standardized assessment, or else you're not getting valid data. And when we get inaccurate or invalid data, there are kids going to intervention that don't need to be there, and there are kids that desperately need to be there and are missing their opportunity. So as you are collecting your middle of the year benchmarks right now, which is what you should all be doing, usually December and January, take a look. And when something doesn't make sense, slow down and analyze. Don't just rely on those colored bands that you see in your data assessment tools. I hope you found this helpful. We are not having a Q&A in December because of Christmas. We decided that it was just too busy for everybody. There will be another Q&A in January because we are loving it. And pretty soon I will be opening some additional spots for private coaching clients where I am working with intervention teachers who want to meet with me privately and really grow in their own knowledge using their own data and situations specifically. So please join that wait list, or better yet, book a discovery call. Let's meet and chat and see if we are a good fit for each other. All right, my friends, I hope you have a wonderful Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and stay safe over your vacation. Get some rest and enjoy it. Much love to you. Thank you for what you do, and bye for now.